welcome to Reelin Films. I do hope that you enjoy this video. Don't forget, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell. Like that you guys can get notified for anything and everything movie and series related here at Reel in Films. I hope you enjoy this video.
How the Gringo Stole Christmas is a screenplay by Ezequiel Martinez Jr. that came to me 10 years ago from an executive that was at Lionsgate, Lisa Elsie, and I had just finished From Prada to Nada. And she says, Angel, you have to read this. This is crazy funny. And so obviously it was crazy funny. And but it was hard to get it done at the time for a number of reasons. So when he came back around the possibility of doing it now and to do it with George Lopez, it was a no-brainer, right? Because I've always considered myself fish out of water everywhere I've lived, and I've lived in many countries and cities around the world, and I always see how the cultural differences between people from the north, the south, the east coast, the west coast is always a a conversation or a critique of each other. And it's actually absurd when you think about it. It's all the same around the world and around this country. And so being a part of that, uh, let's say victim of being always a fish out of water, to me, this movie is that, but in reverse order. So the born in USA white American is the fish out of water in the Hispanic family that lives in Los Angeles. And so I just found that not only funny but interesting as a social comedy commentary. So obviously I wanted to latch onto that and do as much justice as I can to the comedy with the social commentary based on that fish out of water experience that we'll have here. Yeah, just about every piece of difficulty in the book of difficulties for filmmaking on this particular production because not only is it low budget, but we had a SAG strike starting on the last day of shooting at midnight. So making a film is short of a miracle, and it's very difficult to get all the elements together and the financing and everything. By the time that got greenlit, I only had a week and a half of pre-production, and I had to shoot the whole movie in 3 weeks. And that's usually about half or a third of what's the doctor recommends one should have to make a film and survive. And the post-production process, because of the same pushback, was also cut in half because we had to make it for Christmas release. So what happens is you don't have enough time to plan, you don't have enough time to cast, to the location, to do all that stuff, and you have to improvise a lot on the run. The advantage of it is that if you have the mental capacity to do the gymnastics to take advantage of adversity to your favor, then you can actually flip each obstacle to your favor. And it appears that it worked out. So you end up having a funnier film. And so, not to mention, we had 100 plus degrees temperatures every day and electrical storms and a state of emergency in Mississippi for the second week of production. So we had plenty of obstacles to overcome. But thanks to a great set of actors, I was able to just focus on what really matter when it's what's in front of the camera is those characters, that story, and the comedy. And so, in a way, the limitations just allow me, or made me, or force me to focus more on what really matters, which is character, story, and comedy. In this case, I had really the perfect casting set of actors for this story, for this movie, for these characters. And the good thing about it is they're either comedians or they have a comedic bone in them. And by encouraging them to bring their experience, their improvisational skills from actors to influencers, because I had 5 influencers comedian actors in the movie, I was able to get more out of every character and every situation, and make it funnier and make it more interesting, I think. And but the challenge being in this situation where we have extreme heat is that here we are trying to do comedy and be funny under 110 degrees temperatures in the sun for 12 hours. And I had, you know, crew members faint, like literally fall to the ground from heat exhaustion. And so, in a way, you have to keep your sense of humor while tiptoeing around people dropping like flies from exhaustion. And but the good thing is, because the actors usually come in and do their lines, and then then they go back to their umbrellas or the air conditioning rooms or cars. They're able to, to keep going, right? So in a way, I am melting. We're all melting, and then here they come, and then they do their bits, and the bits are funny. And at that moment, I am in comedy. I'm having fun. I'm having a laugh. And as soon as I say cut, I feel like fainting myself, because the amount of pressure from production and pressure from the heat and the temperatures that we're going through. So in a way, every day was a challenge. Every day was funny. Every day. And then we have this dog, and the dog is like 100 years old dog and partially blind. And so the dog is really, really funny because you're able to put him anywhere and he'll just stay there. And usually it's quite difficult to deal with animals, because you just want to move around and you need to train them and all that. But in this case, it was almost like an anchor of comedy. It was always there somewhere. And then I have the influencers who are extremely funny and able to bring on a lot of their own comedy. And so the improvisational moments with the actors was just delightful. I hope so. I guess if people like the film enough, there's definitely a desire to take it further, as we feel like we cut it short, because there's only so much you can do in this time frame. But yeah, I would love to see what happens next. What happens when they get married? How do they survive marriage as young people? Multicultural in this country. And I also love to know what the Vatos think of them, as they are the critiques of the family.
Right. And then also George Lopez will be a grandfather, which could be interesting.
Exactly. We'll
Yeah.
definitely love to hear how and know how he adapts or doesn't adapt to the cultural differences with these new family members. These two words is cultural confusion, um, because it is about that. Exactly. It's about having fun or making fun of our differences and making us aware how absurd it is that we keep fighting each other just because we look or sound different.